All right, and Kelly, can you hop on video for us real quick, and I'll kick us off. Thank you, thank you. So in Treasurer Lane's absence, as chair of the selection committee for the GBI RFP, I'm gonna kick us off and start the roll call. So starting first with Christina.
Here.
Grace.
Present.
Kelly.
Here.
Treasurer Lane is absent. And James is present. Perfect. So we have a quorum. And the first thing on our agenda is to begin discussing the implementation RFP, as well as make a recommendation. So I want to open it up, I guess a quick level set is last time we talked, we wanted to get some guidance from the city councilor's office around what our options were for the implementation partner RFP. Christina asked about whether or not we could pursue the requirement to accept donations external of the RFP, and if we had some other options with how we were to accept the two proposals for the implementation RFP. So I'm gonna give our city councilor Nancy an opportunity to kind of talk with us formally about the proposals, and yeah, I'll leave it there.
So I think the answer is basically, I think this is resolved by the fact that you can reject all the applicants if you want, right? And so you can also accept portions of what they're offering and basically go to, if you select a particular team, but you feel like a team needs to be restructured, or, only want to deal with one partner in a team or something like that, you can always approach the selected contractor or subrecipient and propose that and see if they're willing to accept it. You're not bound to accept, the lowest bidder or any or make any particular decision. So does that answer the question?
I believe so. Does anyone from the selection committee have any follow-up questions with Nancy while we have her?
Nope. Thank you, Nancy.
All right. I can hang on to the meeting. If you have any more questions, just let me know.
Wonderful. So with that in mind, do we have any other discussion points for the two RFPs? And just a reminder for the two proposals, just a reminder for the public, we have one from Deeper Life Church and Forward, and then another from Up Together.
I don't have more comments to add from the last meeting that we had. I'm happy to move towards a recommendation, but I will pause to see if Christina and Kelly have any questions.
Do not have any.
No question.
So building off of our conversation from last meeting and what Nancy Walsh just shared, I would like to recommend the treasurer's office to go into a contract negotiation with the forward proposal and to be able to negotiate that contract without coming back to the selection committee. I don't know if Christina and Kelly, if there's anything else I should add to that motion.
I'll second.
You went on mute, unmuted, but then you didn't say anything, Kelly. Really.
We have a first and a second.
For a point of clarification, are you suggesting, Grace, that it only be with forward entity and not with the, as I understand, that was a team proposal?
Yeah, it would be to allow my motion is to allow the treasurer's office to go into contract negotiation with the forward team proposal, so that they can then talk to the team about the best path forward, and if there needs to be any restructuring, that they have the autonomy to do it.
Well, I guess the amendment I would add is that, like, if they can't come to an agreement, then it comes back to us.
I will add Christina's comment on if treasurer's office and the forward team proposal can't come to an agreement, that they will come back to the selection committee.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay. We have a first, a second. Sorry, I'm taking the meeting notes. Okay, and then this is when I say all in favor, say aye. Is that the voting rules, or do I go one by one?
No, that's fine.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Wonderful.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? No? Okay. Thanks, Nancy. So then the second point of business, I'll just quickly level set that we need score sheets for the financial distribution RFP. And since both Treasurer Lane's not present and we do not have all score sheets submitted, we can open it up for discussion for the financial distribution RFPs, but a formal vote won't be made for them.
Thank you. I'll call myself out. I haven't turned in my score sheets yet.
It's okay. There's 6 proposals, and yeah, and you're not the only one. I won't say names, so it's okay.
Is it okay if I put my scores directly into your score sheet?
Oh yeah,
That'll save
perfect. Yeah, and then if you could just email me submitted, so I have a timestamp of it. Yep, wonderful. So with that, do we want to have a discussion, or should we postpone discussion for when all score sheets are submitted and all members are present?
I've reviewed them all, so I think we are prepared to discuss them.
Okay.
James, do you want to go through each of them, or would you rather we do a high level discussion?
I'm open to either format. If people want to go, one by one, where should we start? Let's go there.
I'd like to open with just a general comment.
Okay.
Is why we got so many more responses for this part of the RFP, it being the smallest component of the GBI project. So that's a question for the universe. And from just such a really wide range of applicants. So anyone else have an overall comment?
Yeah, I think maybe the banking industry is interesting, that there's a little bit of disruption with different fintech companies. And so we got, bank proposals, and we got folks that are currently actively, operating within that space in new ways, more nimble ways. So I guess that's the only thing I would add there. I like that we have a lot of variety for this RFP. I think that we have a lot to consider and who we end up selecting. I will say that based on the scores that we have so far, there was the most variability in how people have scored Conduent and US banks. So I would like to discuss those proposals, since I took the standard deviation of all of our summative scores, and we have the highest standard deviation for both of those proposals.
Okay.
Should we start with US Bank then?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pulling up.
Interesting. Okay, so key features of this proposal were the Relia card, the one just payment option. And other distinguishing factors for this proposal is that it would cost us $0. I didn't quite follow that part. Like, why do they do it for nothing?
The parts for US Bank for me also was, I wasn't very clear on their timeline. And then I was not clear on their budget. So building off of Christina's comment there, which then impacted how I scored them.
They weren't the only one that said that it would be free either. There's a few that, right?
Just one.
Yeah, there were a couple that wouldn't charge the city, but I didn't really understand that they would get it off transaction fees, but I'm not sure who is paying the transaction fee. So that was kind of a little muddy on that part.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like, we're willing to pay. Why are we pushing the cost onto like a grocery store?
Yeah.
Is that normal? I also, like, whenever I swipe my card at a grocery store, who pays that fee? The grocery store, or do I as the consumer?
No, any business pays a transaction fee for any time and someone comes in to swipe their credit card, essentially.
Oh, I see. So if it's not unusual for that to happen, then I don't think that that's, I mean, that doesn't make me feel any differently than me spending my paycheck. So, but
yeah, I guess building off of that comment though, it just was not clear on the budget if they were going to absorb it into their costs or how it would actually get allocated. Yeah, you all are right. There were a couple proposals that said that.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think they had a framework, but no timeline. They had that like blurry image of a sample. Just not great. What did you guys think about their customer service approach?
That's actually something that I have a comment on it. I think it would be a little bit more confusing with US Bank because I could see a participant in this program calling their general banking hotline or number thinking that they can get support for this card. And I guess that just feels like too broad a filter and it would be really confusing for participants. And that's something that I would be concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. That getting through to someone could be a hassle with US Bank being such a big bank.
Yeah.
Well, we would have the same kind of complaint with Conduit because they manage a bajillion programs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what they said about customer service support, they'll have a relationship manager, a client support team. Yeah, 24/7 customer service. It sounds like Relia Card is just like a normal thing that they offer. And so they have, they do have like a regular customer service line for that. with a website and a mobile app. So it's just like having a MasterCard, I guess. It's not like a special, which I think is good, because it's not like you have to treat it differently than you would a regular debit card.
A good point. And if someone already banks with US Bank, it might show up even more typical to a regular banking situation. But
I mean, one thing I did like, though, that someone could go into the actual branch and get cash instead of using an ATM or something like that. That was one of the positive points I did like with their proposal.
A general question I have, sorry if this derails the conversation a little, is the residency and operation in the St. Louis region. How much weight we would want to put towards those, because it does impact the scores. It might, at least for me, it did when I was looking at the overall scores.
It's a good point. For this service, I don't know if it's necessary, absolutely necessary. Whereas for other services, I feel like it's really, really important. Just looking at the whole program and the RFPs that have been issued.
Yeah, and how do you score something like US Bank, which has branches here, but it's certainly not like, and who knows where the staff are that would be supporting this project.
Yeah. That's a good overall point. I could provide a score that includes it and a score that excludes it, and we could have that conversation whenever we're ready to vote next time.
Okay.
If that's helpful for the selection committee.
Yeah, I guess on that note, it is nice that Mocafy has a staff person in St. Louis. So we do have a direct representative that we can meet with in person and talk to. But again, it's just a general question to the selection committee of how important that is compared to other categories.
Yeah, I would say it's not as important.
Yeah.
James, because the treasurer's office has worked through direct cash assistance, I know you weren't directly involved, but are there certain qualities that you would ask the selection committee to take into consideration for programs like this?
That's a good question, Grace. Yeah, I think the difficulty, one of the difficulties that we ran into was what happens when people don't spend all of the money or their money's left over. How is that money retrieved or protected? And then if there's a small amount of dollars left on the card, and is there a way to get that money off? Sometimes you have to spend the exact amount, and sometimes you can get the card to zero. And so that was an ongoing question mark towards the end of that program. So you can keep those back of mind when thinking about some of the offerings that people have in their proposal.
So would it be a program requirement to use a card? So someone with a bank account couldn't just get a direct deposit to their account?
Yeah, it just seems like they're offering the Relia card, period.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, just in general with the program overall, is that a requirement that someone has to use a card? They couldn't get payments direct deposited?
Yeah. That's a good question for us to consider. So we originally drafted the RFP wanting options and wanting us to be able to review the options and think about what makes the most sense. I see a lot of pros and only restricting it to a card because then we'd have better cumulative data on spending. Also, there's a lot of perks in offering participants of the program flexibility in how they receive money. And I guess we just need to think like what's more valuable to us, that data tracking aspect or giving, people that are participating that flexibility and autonomy to spend money how they wish.
Do you think this is a pilot? And the goal of the pilot is to make a national case for universal basic income programs. So that makes me lean towards, this isn't like the direct cash aid in that was more, customer focused. This is a study. So I think that would lean toward the data. Like it's important that the more data we have, the better.
I think there's a component to consider once we select all of the vendors. For example, if a household were to say having a direct deposit would financially help them more than having a prepaid card, for whatever reason, we could work with the data evaluation consultants to directly work with those households for interviews as a consideration, James, and how the program gets designed.
It's true.
I guess the data point, if we offer options, is it's a data point, like what does the household choose?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. Is it different for people that are banked or underbanked? Like.
Yeah. Like what if you want to use this to pay their rent?
So will there be tracking of what someone spends it on?
To an extent.
Yeah, like if you just give them money in their account, you'd get to see if they pull it out via an ATM, right? But that's what the data and evaluation RFP or that partner will do is interview or survey the participants to ask them what they spent the money on. So we'll have the qualitative data based on how, and of course it depends on how much the person remembers that they spent the money on, or distinguish it from their other cash. I do think if we offer multiple modes, we will have some limitation. We'll be relying on their memory, and the data and evaluation partner is going to be like have to be a lot more engaged, a lot more important to get that kind of information. So, but if we limit it to, a card, then we're artificially like limiting the spending to whatever can be purchased using a card.
Yeah, which could be hard if someone lives in an apartment and they require that they pay rent with a check. Then they'd have to take the money off, put it in their bank, get a check, and or use the cash to get a note from someplace. And there's just more hoops and hurdles to limiting the distribution options that people will experience.
And that also opens up people to fees, ATM fees, different types of fees that also eat into the money.
Yeah, and when did the US Bank? Okay, they said for fees, they have $0 for an ATM withdrawal in network, $2 out of network. I don't know how often ATMs are in network versus out of network. And then $0 for teller cash withdrawal. But any bank or credit union that accepts MasterCard. So that seems flexible.
Yeah.
what was the other one that just had a card? Was it Conduit that just offered a card?
Check it real quick. That sounds right to me. I'm just want to double check.
Conduit, I thought offered direct deposit. Did they not?
So,
It's such a big binder.
yeah, there is a big binder.
Obligation. Card design, card.
Okay. So for the conduit proposal, it is on page 82, or if you're looking at a PDF, 138. They mention a direct deposit section. And my understanding was it's an optional feature that they can't do. I'm rereading it.
Sorry, my yeah,
Yeah.
They can do a wire transfer.
It sounds like they'll also have the ability to sign up for direct deposit on their own, which is the opt-in feature is really nice.
That's actually a good point, James. I didn't read the proposals to mark which ones it was something that the participant could opt into or without having to
Have it chosen.
contact the agency to switch it for them. So it gives more autonomy for them to switch midway if that's better for them.
Okay, so can you say that again? So they can
Opt
into direct deposit to whatever bank they already bank with?
Yeah. They just log in with their or put in their banking info. They'll start receiving direct deposits after that.
Wait, what page is that? Say again.
138 if you're on the PDF, but 83 on the the legend down at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't see it. Mine says like 1.5-16. Maybe I'll look at it. Fine. Okay, say one more time what page number. Oh my gosh, 201 pages.
138.
Great. It says it right. So many pages. I wish this was like a little further forward. Option issue payments by direct deposit and credit cards. Okay, that's awesome. We like that. They get a full score. Okay. Was it a theme that was like we can do paper checks, we can do. They kind of offered like 5
All
different
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bean had a really clear section that was concise on that.
Yeah. Beam can do it all.
By US Bank. Where do we land? They just have the Relia card.
Yeah.
I thought US Bank also had direct deposit, did they not?
Oh,
Did they?
Maybe I misread that then.
Let's look.
that might have also been one of those, like, most of it was about the Relia card because that's what they prefer. And then they had a quick point to say they could do that.
Yeah, but they can go into a bank and any card, any bank that uses MasterCard.
Mm.
Okay, well, I think the standard for 5 for a full score in this option is kind of Beam and Conduit, like offering the most options. US Bank offers options that are good. I don't think it's disqualifying at all, but
Yeah. At a high level, I'll share. So we scored Relevate the most similarly, and it was about midway compared to all the other scores, but it had the least amount of variability. So then we all felt similarly about Relevate for the scores that I have received. And then 4 CTs was a little bit, we all scored a little bit lower. These will change though, but something to think about.
was there any provider that didn't have ATM fees?
Relevate, I actually wrote a note to check the same thing, Christina, but I remember Relevate for the most part did not have fees.
They push it all on
The transaction fee, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the drawbacks of the card is ATM fees. I don't think any card shield from ATM fees outside of whatever network they may be a part of.
And does it come from the value? It comes from the value on the card?
It might. I know normally it's probably like a $3 fee or something like that that you charge, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it just seems silly, like either to say, I'm going to charge you $0, but I'm going to take a $2 bite every time one of your participants uses my card in an ATM. Like,
Yeah,
it's a little disingenuous. And then to charge $50,000 and then also charge that fee. Like, I don't know. The point is to see how much $500 a month helps, not 497 or you know, I don't know, it just seems, I mean, I guess we could put more money on the cards to make up for that if they were, waiving the fee,
yeah.
but they're gonna get one way or another.
I think Mochify may not have fees, but please correct me if I got that wrong. I'm trying to skip to all the proposals and their sections on ATM withdrawal fees.
Yeah.
And another thing was with Mochify's proposal, out of all of them, that they were the only ones to mention some sort of pro bono service. And I wanted to check with you all to see if I missed it in any of the proposals that offered in-kind services.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the ones that said that it wouldn't cost the city, which that's still a little bit of a question mark, but yeah, I would agree that they explicitly named a service that was waived. And none of the other, yeah,
Okay, let me pull it up. So Mocha B, which I managed to.
Yeah, while we're on Mocafy, I like that their timeline fit well within our window. So that was something that stood out to me.
And they were the partner used by United Way for the direct cash assistance.
Yes. So they have a history with the city, supporting
Yeah.
city programs.
But we didn't have a direct, I mean, we can call it reference, but
It's not the same.
yeah, it's not direct experience. It was, you know, I heard plenty of complaints about how the direct cash assistance program was rolled out or how it was operationalized. And I don't know, but not enough to know whether that was the other contractor or this provider, you know? So I don't know enough. Okay. No fee cash access at all point and Wells Fargo ATMs. Contactless payments, Google and Apple Pay, prepaid card, anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Virtual card. Yeah. But it does sound, so by saying they have no fee cash access at some ATMs, it does suggest they do have fees at others. So, but that is better than an in-network. Well, yeah, I think both of them are like no fee for in-network, fee for out-of-network. I'm just trying to remember, why would we want to go with a provider that only offers the card compared to other options?
I guess, so outside, I can double check US Bank's proposal, but was there another one that wasn't offering direct deposit? Because I thought they all did.
I think Force CT may just be card only. If I'm remembering correctly. I have to double check though.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, I'll create a graphic too that summarizes that for next time. Transaction fee and distribution offering. I think that'll be helpful for whenever we do convene and go to vote.
So 4CT does have a sentence in there that says ACH transfer may delay the timeline. So I thought they offered ACH too.
Okay, so do we think there was like a best one in this category? The disbursement options? And was there I think all of them met like the floor, like they all could do it. Essentially what we asked for.
For disbursement, I guess how I scored that section was if they met the floor of what was asked in the RFP. But if we're talking about an entity that could potentially go above and beyond, I thought Beam was the one that clearly stated all the options they could do, which included, of course, the check option too. If I remember that correctly.
Yeah, I think we just asked for them to offer at least the debit card.
We also asked in the RFP to have an option for ACH.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm looking just at the scope of work section, Conduit and Mocify have the highest scores so far. But overall, US Bank and Mocify are in the lead.
Well, can we talk a little bit, I know, so we spent most time on the US Bank proposal. Can we talk about the Beam proposal? This is the one that it seemed like they should have applied to be an implementation partner.
Hmm.
Yeah, Christine, on that note, that is how I started reading the RFP at a certain, or their response at a certain point, that it felt like they were qualified as an implementation partner. And then I had to double check that they were answering the financial distribution questions. I did like their proposal. In concept, they talked about the most on equity. And so I did, out of all the proposals for them, I believe the highest on their equitable approach, but I say that a little bit, not like above and beyond either for anyone, because it wasn't super clear to me on any of the proposals of what specifically they do to support low to moderate income populations based on how we were scoring them. The other thing, of course, that caught my eye was that Mayor Tubbs is on one of their advisory boards, and we all know that he started Mayors for Guaranteed Income.
Yeah. So this is a provider that's very, very experienced with the Guaranteed Basic Income pilots, or, has the most, relevant experience on just, this particular use case of a prepaid debit card, or, and I thought that was interesting. There's not really a way to, that wasn't part of the scoring. I mean, there's relevant experience, relevant past experience. So I just thought it was very interesting. And I'm sad that they didn't apply for the implementation RFP. And yeah, I do think there is, they were telling themselves, like, as a startup, we have more time for you, we'll be more engaged. And they, talked a lot about dashboards and reporting. Not that we don't need a dashboard for everything, but yeah, and they're kind of like they're selling themselves more as like a data partner, and not just like the card provider. I was also really surprised to see that the scale of the direct cash aid program from Southern New Hampshire University. I don't know if you guys noticed that part of their application, the amount of funds they moved for that program.
Yeah, we're definitely middle of the road there. Not the smallest and definitely not the largest.
And I think they're kind of the beam is kind of like a direct, it's like the little David to Confluence Goliath. Yeah, so it makes me really want to spend a little more time comparing just those two to each other. Because obviously the big thing Confluent emphasized in their binder was their 25 years of experience and the scale of, managing the entire SNAP program. Okay. And like, why were they going for our little contract? That was one of my questions around Confluent.
I do want to be mindful of time. We're nearing towards the end of our hour together. Do we feel good about closing discussion here shortly and resuming during our next meeting?
Yeah, that would be good with me. Could we potentially select the next time, or James, you would need to go and check with the treasurer's schedule?
I have confidence that once all score sheets are submitted and we've continued to discuss the proposals a little more thoroughly, that we'll be ready to select next time.
Yeah, sorry, I meant, can we select the meeting date and time?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to move to close discussion. Not done talking about it, but I do need spend a little more time with the applications to finish scoring them. But thank you guys for discussing them with me.
Perfect. Should we try to meet after the holiday?
Yes.
Okay.
Could we look at Friday afternoon?
The 7th?
Yes.
Yeah, right now that's open for the treasurer and I.
Right. Do we want to do 2:30?
2:30?
2:30?
That works.
Perfect. Kelly, did you say 2:30 works?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Does someone want to, or I'll motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Wonderful. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.